Hi, this is Tablet Store UK, and we're going to take a look at a digitizer solution that can be added to any of our tablet devices. And the tablet we have here is a WinPad Pro, and it's got a resistive screen which a lot of businesses would use so that they can use a stylus as well as their finger. So this will work with pressure from the finger, and therefore it will also work with any stylus as well. But the issue that some people will encounter when using resistive touchscreen technology is that you get interference if you touch somewhere else on the screen. Usually that would be from your palm touching down to rest on the screen. Sometimes that can be avoided, but you don't always want to have to hover above the screen to touch it. As soon as we touch somewhere else, then we have the issue that Windows might recognize that as our second touch point. What will usually happen is that the second touch point will only interfere when we lift for a moment and then go to touch down again. So if you're writing and go to write the second word, then if your palm was touching down, you'd break the pattern of flow. One solution to this is to use a digitizer, and this unit we have here is essentially the receiver for the digitizer over on the right hand side of the device here. And you get for that a special pen to use with the digitizer. Now the pen doesn't interact with the screen at all, other than it can still fundamentally be used to apply pressure and touch the screen in that way, but the pen starts to interact as soon as you take off the lid, which is a simple way of getting it to work. And once that's opened, then the pen becomes active. The pen, if we just take a closer look, has got on it, see if we can get the camera to focus, essentially a long button which has the front here acts as a left mouse button and the rear acts as a right mouse button. And the way that the pen works is that when you're close to the screen, you're effectively controlling the cursor. Something that you can't do with resistive or capacitive touchscreen is hover. You can't move the mouse cursor around without physically touching the screen. In this way you can do more by separating the action of moving around in the way that you would move your mouse from when you actually touch down and make contact with the screen. You're also able to use your left and right mouse button without even touching the screen, so you can left click on something or right click on something, and of course you can still touch down to left click. So let's dive in and take a look at some of the uses, the advanced uses of having a digitizer pen over having the resistive touchscreen. It's worth mentioning incidentally that whilst the pen is in use, we don't get interference from touch. So I am not able to touch and interfere whilst the pen is in use until the pen is put away in its case, and then we're back to using the resistive touchscreen. So let's take a look. You get a little shortcut menu up on the, you can float it anywhere on your screen, but this is currently up in the top right hand corner with quick access to some of the different functions. You've got quick access shortcuts to Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. You've got a handwriting and drawing program that comes bundled with the device, which is crudely speaking just not much different from, say, a paint program that's provided with Windows, just a clean pad for you to draw on with the ability to save pages. You have a whiteboard feature, which I will load just to give an indication of something that could be useful, particularly if you're using this as a projector. You've obviously got the ability to write on the screen, and you can, from the top menu, change your color, as well as control saving your pages. You can also choose a white transparent background so that you're writing over the desktop, and you can essentially add pages, so you can go on to, let's say that this is page 2, go back, we can still view page 1 as a slide over the top of anything we're looking at, and back to page 2. And when we save these, we save the slides as the writing over with the background that you're seeing there, and it will save a file, a PNG file, for each page that you're working with. So that's a digital whiteboard function. Let's open up Microsoft Word and take a look at handwriting in an application. Now there are two ways that we can handwrite. Probably the preferred method is to use the built-in tools in Windows 7 to use the handwriting input panel that is provided by default. Given that this feature of the operating system is quite effective. Something else that you can program by using the digitizer is actions that will activate when you hover rather than touch. Something quite useful, for example, is to not have to actually tap the insert button, but simply to be able to hover over it, which you saw I did there, and then that's inserted the text into the document. As well as being able to interact with the page, select text and perform actions on it in the same way that you would be able to with the mouse, you can also freely draw on the page if you choose to do that. But unlike in the screenwriting mode, when it comes to working with the toolbars, then our mouse is just a mouse pointer. Bundled with this digitizer is alternative handwriting capture software, which you can use either if you prefer it, or if you're using an older operating system version that perhaps doesn't have the handwriting input panel features of Windows 7, although a similar input panel can be applied to Windows XP, just a case of getting the right software. Very similar features in so much as you write directly into the input panel. It translates your handwriting into text, and you input that onto the page when you want to. There is, however, with this input panel, the ability to hide the input panel and write directly on the screen. Which looks very good, but is a little slower than the handwriting input panel native to Windows 7. One neat additional feature of this particular panel is it's able to recognize numbers and in fact equations and formulas and work those out on the fly. Drawing an example there on the screen. And there we are. If we wanted to input that onto the page, then there we have it. Another feature of the included software is to make handwritten notes and send those as email if you don't have the patience to wait for the operating system to transcribe that. So just give a brief example there. We're able to write. If we're not happy with something we write, we can select with the left mouse button and clear that individual word. And then when we want to send, we just click send and it will open up the default mail program selected by the operating system.